I always tell people I work with, don't take anything if you can't write me 2 to 3 sentences on what that product or idea does and why you are personally going to do it. Oh, I should do a coffee enema. Why? Because everyone in the world said that coffee enemas are great. And all of a sudden you're looking online and doing this coffee enema and you don't actually know why you're doing it. And it could make you worse.
You're listening to the Digest This podcast, and I'm your host, Bethany Cameron. Wow. Today's interview was very personal in a sense, but I know it can be very personal for you as well. And we're talking about gut issues, but not just gut issues, a life-threatening situation where I was once in, and Dane Johnson, who is my guest today, he was once in as well. And he's on here, not just sharing his story about how he almost died from gut issues, but how he recovered. And now he has his own business, the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, and it is booming. How he is just helping others. And we just got off this interview and I'm just so moved because I have hope for everyone listening. And if you suffer with IBS, Crohn's, Colitis, IBD, maybe you know someone that is currently suffering, this episode is definitely one to listen to and share with all your loved ones and friends and family, because Dane Johnson, he takes this approach and there's so much more to the piece of the puzzle that we are perhaps missing. And maybe it is your diet. Maybe it's de-stressing. Maybe it's simplifying your life. Maybe it's just taking things out of your diet, not adding more to it. We talk about so much, including histamine responses like bone broth. Like bone broth can be so healing, but if you have histamine issues, bone broth can actually do more harm than good. So we go into those foods that you need to avoid or stay away from, and a few things that you should be implementing. And maybe it could be helpful, maybe it's not. We all need to be our own doctor, and we need to be present in our own body of how we eat, when we eat, how fast we eat. And I really do have hope for everyone listening that this podcast is going to change your life and impact you in a way that you're never going to forget. So let's get right into it. Dane Johnson, you're back for a second time. And before we even get into the interview, I like to start my podcast now with rapid fire yes or no questions. So you can only answer yes or no. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. First question, yes or no. Is IBS all the same?
No.
Can people have Crohn's and not know it?
Yes.
Could acne be the cause of gut issues?
No, it's the opposite. No. Meaning acne, meaning gut issues can be the cause of acne. Yes.
I mean, gut issues can be the cause of acne. How did I read that? I'm like dyslexic today. Yes, gut issues can be the cause of acne. Okay. Does mental health play a role in gut issues?
Yes.
And last question, is Crohn's and colitis reversible?
Yes.
Question for you. What has 3 times the healthy aging cell benefits of omega-3 fish oil and can help with aging to help reduce wrinkles, fine lines, and help you get better sleep and less brain fog? On top of all that, studies have shown that this fatty acid has multiple anti-cancer activities, guys. This is huge. If you haven't heard of Fatty 15 yet, take this as your sign because I've been talking about it forever. Fatty 15 is also proven to reduce oxidation factors, unlike most fish oil supplements on the market today, which are already rancid by the time they reach the store shelves. Fatty 15 never oxidizes and it's vegan. I take 1 small capsule in the morning and I even got my husband on it and he loves it. So whether you're vegan, don't like the taste of fish oil, or don't want to ingest rancid oils that are commonly found in fish oil supplements today, try Fatty 15 to help support and restore your long-term health. And who would I be without offering a discount to the Digest This community? Fatty 15 has graciously given me the ability facility to offer you 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit. Just go to fatty15.com/digest and use code DIGEST, and you can cancel anytime. That's FATTY, the number 15.com/digest, or use code DIGEST at checkout. All right, Dane. So you were here back in 2023. So it's been at least 3 years since you've been on the show, and so much has changed. I feel like did you get married? You've had 2 kids, one on the way. What has happened?
Yeah, we've been busy. We've been trying to do the family thing and working. I live down in Newport Beach. I was up in LA for a long, long time, Santa Monica, and we moved down to Newport Beach and got married back in 2022, actually. And then my first son was born in 2020, and then 2024, and then our next son, this will be our third son, is due in 2026 in about 6 weeks. So we are under it. Yeah, it's exciting, where we feel grateful. But it's only because of all the hard work. I think you've done this too. Like me and you can live our lives and travel and try to be there for others because of all the work we've done, because chronic sickness was a massive, massive part of my background. But feeling very grateful to be the father and the husband I can be.
That's amazing. And I want you to share that. And I brought it up because I want this podcast to have some hope. And I know for anyone that maybe didn't hear your last podcast, if you could give us a Reader's Digest version of really what happened to you, because here you are literally on your deathbed, suffering with all these gut issues, and now you're married, you're a father, and you're living the dream. So I just want to share that and tell people there's hope. So take us back to what happened.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed first with ulcerative colitis, then diagnosed with Crohn's disease by a different doctor at a different time, then ulcerative colitis with gastritis, and then Crohn's disease by a different doctor at a different time. And all I knew is I had chronic inflammation in the bowel, and we didn't know what causes it. And the doctors kept saying food didn't matter, there's nothing I could do. And then it just got worse and worse. So prednisone, mesalamine didn't work, and then Remicade didn't work, and Entyvio wasn't strong enough, and methotrexate and 6-MP weren't strong enough. To the point in 2014, I was hooked up to a feeding tube on 200 milligrams of infused prednisone. I was on Entyvio, methotrexate, so lifelong biologics. I was having 25 bloody bowel movements a day, and I was 122 pounds at 6'2". Right now I'm about 190, as you hear me today. And there was nothing I could do. It didn't matter what I ate, what I did. My body was going south. There was a surgeon waiting outside of my hospital room waiting to cut out my colon. And I refused, and I was a bit of a renegade. And, I was housebound for a year after that. So we found some root issues the doctors had never found. And in 2015, I became housebound. It took me about 3 months to learn how to walk again. And about 6-7 months before I could really eat solid food and be comfortable with food. And then a year, I was about 90% symptom free. I was completely medication free. I took myself off every medication. And I haven't taken a drug since 2015. And I've had learning experiences and bumps and things along the way, but I've been able to avoid all surgeries, all medications, live a normal life, eat a variety of food, gain back all my weight, get rid of all those symptoms, get normal lab work, normal colonoscopy, sigmoidoscopy. And then I just started dedicating myself to helping others do the same. I think it was very similar to you, Beth, at that point where it was like, man, we just got I was so sick. I could not eat anything. I couldn't do anything. And it was like I was a prisoner of my own body. And no one I knew had been going through it. So none of my friends could relate. My parents couldn't relate. My siblings couldn't relate. And
25 bloody bowel movements a day. That's insane.
And that's a literal statement. That's not exaggerating. How is that possible? Because you have to go to the bathroom 9 times within an hour. It's just a little bit comes out, a little bit. It's sediment, blood, and mucus. Sediment, blood, and mucus. And so your colon is almost vomiting and dry heaving until it can get rid of what it wants to get rid of. But it can't because it's so swollen and inflamed. And then you're scared to eat. And then when you do eat, your body is so inflamed, you can't absorb the nutrients. So your body just eats itself. And
that's exactly what was happening.
Yeah. And then you go and you know this, and then you say, well, I want to gain weight. I want to gain weight. I can't. If I eat that 2,000 calories, I'll be in pain. My stomach will be twisting in knots. And then I'll just have 28 bowel movements. And then what you'll do is you'll start fasting and living on bone broth and all the liquid diets we keep hearing about. And then you're like, oh, my bowel movements are down to 14. My cramping's down, but I just lost 6 pounds I couldn't afford to lose.
Right. And you can only do it for so long. You can only be on a quote liquid diet for so long. Now I think
Vicious cycle. Yeah.
Dane, the $1 million question.
Mm-hmm.
How did you heal? What did you do? What foods did you eat that were healing to you? Did you have to stay away from things? Like what made that turning point?
Okay. It's not one thing that's going to get you the answer. It's every little thing combined. It is the truest statement. You ever heard, everyone out there, you heard the statement that you can't just work around hard work. If you're going to be successful in life, you have to work your tail off. Anyone who's been successful is going to tell you that too. It's the same thing with healing. You have to do everything combined. When I started really getting results, because I failed years prior, I realized that I was doing great things in 2012. Great things. Before I almost died of this, I was doing great things. I was getting rid of alcohol. I was getting rid of gluten. I was starting to do more, getting rid of snacking, intermittent fasting. I was making certain probiotic foods that were, not perfect, but they were good ideas. But then I almost died because even though it was good, it was not enough. And it wasn't enough of the positive energy to get over the negativity in my body. You have to see it like a wave. You've got to create a tidal wave of energy that's stronger than that is being imposed on your body. And over the years, it seems like it's getting worse and worse. So examples. When I finally got results, it was everything. It was supplements, herbs, sunlight, reading, meditation, prayer daily, drainage pathways, enemas. So I can tell you a day in my life when I finally got results looked like this. I'm in bed and I'm sleeping by 9 or 9:30. Not talking about it, not brushing my teeth. I'm asleep. And I'm working on my ability to fall asleep because a lot of us, you can't sleep when you're that sick and you're angry and anxious. Couldn't sleep.
You're in pain, yeah.
You're all of that. So I had to keep releasing the pain, fear, doubt, and worry so my spirit could calm down and actually go to bed. That's where I did what's called prayer and purpose. So I'd read every day, I'd say a prayer, and I'd say the purpose of my day has been, the purpose of my day will be. And I would go for walks and get sunlight. You really have to bolster this idea of faith. Whatever you have faith in, you do have to bolster it. So you have to get to this place that I'm going to be okay and I need to calm down. Let go. You have to hold on and let go all at the same time. So get yourself to actually sleep. Now that's hard to do, but if you can win that, now you're getting restorative sleep, you're getting deep sleep. Now your body's properly draining toxins. Now it's going to be easier for the inflammation to go down and get a normal bowel movement in the morning if you can even get yourself to sleep through the night. Because I didn't sleep through the night for like 8 or 9 months straight with 2 to 3 bowel movements during the night. So what's my plan to get myself to sleep right now? What's your plan to get yourself to sleep? Stay asleep, not wake up to have a bowel movement. Then when you wake up, what's the first thing you can do to get a healing response?
Okay, so I want to interrupt. So I just want you to take us back just for a second. So obviously the medication wasn't helping. Doctors were not helping. Did you just say, okay, I've had it, I'm going to deal with it my own? Or did you seek out like an alternative practitioner, a holistic healer? Like what did you start doing? How did you say to the doctors, no, I'm taking this into my own hands now?
Okay, great question. So conventional medicine saved my life. I was on Entyvio and prednisone and mesalamine and all these things while I started implementing my natural plan. So I did both, conventional and natural, and I weaned off the conventional as the natural started working and I had more faith in it. Number two, I did work with a lot of natural paths, but back in 2012, 13, 14, I was in natural medicine school working with local professors, ND, so I would be meeting with them, talking about ideas and strategies. One of the core problems was I didn't find anyone who specialized in IBD. And I was so severe, most of the natural practitioners I looked at were wide-eyed at me. They didn't know what to do with me. And I was life-threatening, so they didn't really want to touch me personally. So what I did is I took what I had been trying in 2011, 12, and 13, the idea of restrictive eating, the idea of certain supplements, the idea of certain sleep patterns, the idea of certain drainage pathways, everything I had started to learn, and I put it all together and I just did it more enhanced and I did it smarter and I did it with the backbone of conventional. Because I was on a feeding tube. I was so sick, I could not walk. When I say I could not walk 8 steps without falling. This was as bad as it gets.
Yeah, if anyone has seen Dane Johnson's before and after, the before is like he's skin and bones. you
Yeah.
know, and I mean, you look amazing now. You're like model, you know, but so, okay. So you started doing both integrative, and then what was the first food that you could actually eat?
Interesting enough, if I had a sip of water, I'd get pain, cramping, blood. Sip of water. Because it felt like I was pooping glass. There was so much inflammation throughout my entire small intestine and large intestine. There was no thing that I could really tolerate. But what I started with is I also found that if I drank too much water, it got me super dizzy and I'd faint because I was so deficient on electrolytes. I was so dehydrated when you lose that much weight. So the first thing I had to do was warm water with a little bit of like sea salt or a little bit of like electrolyte formula, trying to do something without sweeteners, like Body Bio Elite is one that doesn't have any natural flavors or sweeteners. And I would just sip on it. I wouldn't chug it. I'd sip on it because if I chugged it, I'd get dizzy or cramping or some symptom. So it was about, and then I'd start with minced. I'd either do like a pureed carrot, a congee, or minced meat. Like really broken down minced meat. And then I would just eat a little bit of it.
Right. Yeah. Not all at once.
No.
It's like baby spoons.
Well, I didn't leave the couch for 3 months. So when you're that sick, and then you're trying to come off painkillers and the real pain's starting to come to you, like you're getting your mind back. I mean, I was lost. I was gone. So I was starting to become awake. My brain was starting to work. I wasn't drooling from the mouth, figuratively speaking, after about a month. So at that point, it was just a little bit of something to get in my body and see if I'm okay with it. And that's why, because when I left the hospital, I was 140. And then within about a week or two, I was 122. And then from there, I found that like hot water with a little slippery elm.
Mm-hmm.
Really,
I was just about to ask about slippery elm.
I found slippery elm has worked for really extreme cases quite well. Some people get the really bad urgency, cramping, diarrhea. I'd say 5 out of 10 cases I've seen out of a few thousand people we've worked with at this point. So a little slippery elm with hot water. See, hot water helps to activate things and makes them more bioavailable. And it's just easier for the body to absorb the water, to cleanse the liver. So everything.
I want the details. Slippery elm. Was it at night after dinner? Was it in the middle of the day? First thing in the morning?
Throughout the day. Yeah.
Okay.
At this time when I was that sick, whenever I could, if I was on an empty stomach and I needed something or I was getting a little pain, I would just sip on a little bit of slippery elm. And it was predominantly throughout the day. At night, I tried not to have too much because it would make me wake up and have a bowel movement.
Okay.
So yeah, I tried to not put too much at night. At night was all about whatever I could do to calm my body down. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a certain amount of time that your body just needs to recover. So, this was going on for weeks before I could actually do anything. But as I started to feel like my body was coming out of it, they had me on massive amounts of prednisone and all this different stuff. And so as my body started calming down the sleep and I just got even 5-10% better, I started just finding little ways to add certain things in. So I might then add a little bit of broken down pear or cooked no skin apple, or I would
Did you do a lot of pureed foods?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't even want solid bowel movements when you're that sick. Because if it starts to solidify and you're that inflamed, when you looked at my colonoscopy, my colon there was an opening about that big. If you can't see and you're listening, it's about maybe an inch by inch diameter, that you could even get something through. It was so swollen tight. So you want a lot of liquids. And that's the idea of people who've made, elemental diets, right? Is to go completely liquid.
Right. Yeah, that's what I had to do too. Pureed, basically. Liquid pureed meat. I think I told you before, I used to puree my meat, cook it up, and it was like pate. But when you're so sick, you got to do what you got to do. Like, what's the alternative?
Well, and Bethany, I think that's part of like what you and I know is like the pain of it, because you get angry and you say why, and then you look for alternatives, but then it gets to a point where there is no other option. You have to walk this road that's been put in front of you that's not fair and it's not easy. And you don't want to walk it. There's just no other option. It's either go back to the ER room and take more drugs, or try to stay out of the ER room and get nutrition into your body, because you can't stay this sick. So we're talking about extreme life-threatening situations here. And And that's why I tell people, like, conventional medicine's not the devil. It's useful. It is emergency care practice. If you are in an emergency situation, use conventional medicine to your needs, and then make a strategic plan that fits your goals and your freedom and your ideas for the future. But if it wasn't for those biologics and steroids and chemotherapy that saved my life, I'd be dead. And then, but it was the natural medicine that eventually gave me back my power, gave me back my freedom. And it wasn't easy. It took a long time. It wasn't like I took probiotics for 3 weeks and did the carnivore diet, or I did the plant-based diet, or the fruitarian diet, or it was everything combined. So I think when you're in that state, you have to win back your hope. Like you just said it earlier, I want to give you hope. It is precious for your soul at that moment. When you look in the mirror and you don't recognize yourself, you have to take back your sense of hope. And I remember moments where I couldn't walk, but my hope was up. The pain was down. I could think a little bit more clearly. I could get through an episode of a show without wincing in pain. And that gave me a little hope.
So how long did it take for you to gain the weight back or feel like you were, quote, healed?
Healed was a year. It took me about 8 months. And even then, the next year was not perfect. I had to learn things. I wasn't bad. I didn't have to go to an ER room. I didn't have to go on medications. But I got E. coli in Mexico City. I started traveling again. I'm 27 years old, with a career, and I tripped a few times. So don't think it's not a perfect scenario. But I built up my skill set and the knowingness of my body, that I could respond to adversity from my body. No one's going to know your body out there like you are. When you go through this, if I sat down with Bethany, I said, hey, Beth, what are you doing on your plan? She's going to have so much intuition on what she needs and why. It's really hard for someone else to step in because she's been so intense in the past. Same with me. It's like, I know my body so well. That's what you're building. You're building this skill set of like, how do you take care of yourself and how do you recognize when something's not going well? Because when you are healed, and you will get there, when you get healed, you have to know the signs of when your body's not feeling so well. And
I think that's key.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I know a lot of my listeners, they're very smart and they are very in tune with their body, where I think you're preaching to the choir here, but I just want you, like you just said, encourage them to feed into those feelings of what does my body need today? Like what, for example, I'll tell you, there's some days where I am like craving all of the meat and I'm like, I want so much meat. And then there's other days where I'm like, I just want to snack on like fruit and smoothies and like just have, you know what I mean? It's because my body doesn't need it because maybe I had a bunch of meat like yesterday or something. And I think a lot of people are even out of tune with that in general, a lot of Americans.
If I was to give everyone, just hearing more about your listeners, take this and run with it. No one will ever be able to heal you as well as you can heal you. No one. Not Mark Hyman, not Axe, not Pampa, no one. I promise you, no one. Because your intuitive nature of how your body feels and what's needed can never be matched. Every moment you have a feeling of how you're feeling and how to move that. Now, the difference is having trust and integrity with those that you can connect with, who can give you more information that you can take your intuitive nature of all your experience and throw some other thoughts and ideas and strategies and background experience and throw that in there so you can mix that up and get newer, better results than before. But you have to get around someone that you believe you have trust and integrity with, because it's not about being right. It's about being honest and about being heard. Because there's a lot of stuff out there, and a lot of doctors, they come, and even specialists who've written all these books and New York Times bestsellers, the whole world expects them to have the answers. So they come with this presentation that they have the answers. But really what's happening is they are brilliant in a million ways, but they don't have your unique custom answer, because what you have to do today is different than what you have to do 3 months down the road in your journey. It's like physical therapy.
Oh, I want to just piggyback on that. So for those listening, a lot of them are probably already in some sort of protocol, or they've been trying, but there's not seeing results. And they're like, okay, I got to switch gears. I got to try something different. What advice do you have for those that are maybe they need to start with a blank slate again, even though they've been working on their health? They're like, I'm not seeing the needle move. What do I do?
Okay. Healing always starts with the mind. The first thing you want to do is you want to get happy. Because if you're not getting results, you're starting with a place of anger, resentment, doubt, and fear, and it's stress. And a sick body can handle a lot less stress than a healthy body. So you already know that you can't handle the stress. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to write down, I'd start just brain dumping, pen and paper. Write down how you're feeling, release it all, and then start writing out an example daily blueprint. So write down everything you're feeling, what you think you need to do next, and then I want you to turn the page and I want you to write down an example of what your day may look like. Start being the CEO of your health right now. That's what I meant by no one else can heal you, because if you just write it all out and then simplify it, write it, simplify it, wait another 2 hours, go back and look at it again. Can I actually do this? Does this make sense? Does this give me all the calories I need? Can I do this while I travel? What my kids need, what I need, what my husband or my wife needs? And continue to look at that. And once you feel really confident with it, then what I would recommend is that you have a support group of some nature that then you can go cross-examine and say, this is what I want to do. What do you think? And then if someone actually knows you and can give you intel that you value, that's what it is. Who do I value? Who can give me input on this? Who understands me? I think that's the hardest thing for me. To be completely honest, it's hard for me to find a practitioner that I trust with my own health. Maybe you feel the same, Bethany, after all these years and everything you've studied. It's really hard. It's an ego thing for me, but at the same time, I know my body so well. This is what I do for a living. I've been studying this for 15 years. But when you do that, you then need to implement it well enough that you can be consistent and then start pivoting. So start with getting your mind right, simplifying your day, taking action, and then don't be scared to take advice from those that you trust, and then start to pivot or scale those ideas. But anything that is recommended to you should be something you understand and that you agree with. So I always tell people I work with, don't take anything if you can't write me 2 to 3 sentences on what that product or idea does and why you are personally going to do it. Oh, I should do a coffee enema. Why? Because everyone in the world said that coffee enemas are great and I've got a backed up liver, stagnant bile, and then I've got parasites, so I should do a coffee enema. And all of a sudden you're looking online and doing this coffee enema and you don't actually know why you're doing it. You don't know how much you're going to do it. You don't know how often you're going to do it. You don't know, you've never worked, you're not working with someone who actually has experience walking you through this. And it could make you worse.
I love that, Dane, because so many people, especially now on social media, there's always something hot that everyone's doing and everyone wants to jump on the train and they have no idea why. I just want to try it. I just want to do it. Like some things may work for another and it may be worse for you. You don't know.
And I get the appeal of wanting to do it because the more we try, the more experience we have that no matter who we sit down with, I can play with them, right? I can do a little sword fight with them. Oh, coffee enemas, we can do that. Oh, parasite cleanse. Oh, biofilms. Oh, castor oil packs. Yep, done it. But the mistake is you think you've done it to a point where you've actually done it in a way that could get you success. I think one of the most common things I hear is, Dane, I've tried everything. Nothing works. I'll do a plan 60% more simple than what they've tried and get 10x the results.
And why do you think that is?
Consistency, simplicity, what product they're actually using, right? Like a probiotic is not a probiotic. They're all different. Curcumin is not just curcumin. How they combine with other ingredients. Like I see a lot of people who will do, as we said earlier, 40 or 50% of it right, or even 80% of it right, but the 20% that's missing is life-changing. You need a comprehensive plan altogether. These things work. What happens to us when we're chronically sick is we try things, it doesn't work the way we want, and we move on looking for more extreme, more unique situations. We listen on podcasts for another revolutionary thing. Oh, I just heard about exosomes. I heard about natural killer cells. I heard about stem cells. I heard about SOTs. I heard about these new peptides. Maybe I need to do peptides in a different way. Instead of just really understanding the basics. The crazy thing is I was getting massive results with probably 75% of the training or skill set that I have today. Why? Because here are the things you have to win to get results. You've got to balance your nervous system. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how good your nutrition is. You have to balance your nervous system. You've got to get in the parasympathetic, get out of the sympathetic. 2, you've got to win your sleep. You don't win your sleep, I don't care what you're taking. Okay. Number 3, you've got to get food that's bioavailable and does not cause an inflammatory response. I have people who do great with 0 problems on congee, but if they have a high antioxidant, polyphenol, rich fibrous salad, it'll kill them. metaphorically speaking. So nutrient-rich food is not necessarily the answer for chronically sick people with bowel issues. You need bioavailable food that allows bowel rest. If you look at
I always tell people,
go ahead.
I always just say, it's not what you eat, it's what you absorb.
Yes. And that's why when you're seeing undigested arugula in your colon or in your bowel movement, you're going, that's not going to work. So another thing is you want to make, everything has to be strategy like chess. So if you're going to add in fiber, like I always tell people, like, once you're eating plants, you have to watch out for certain plant defenses when your gut's really injured. So you want to focus on things that are prebiotic soluble fibers. So things like usually, now some of us have histamine and sugar and we all have but and ifs. Please remember that no matter what I say, 30% will get good, 30% are neutral, and 30% will get worse. No matter what food I mention or protocol I mention right now. Because you can't just move a bishop on a chessboard and think it's always a good move. I'll repeat that. You can't just always move a bishop on a chessboard and think it's a good move. You have to move based on your opponent. So I give you example moves, but it's not going to do anything for you until you build those foundations. So going back to those foundations, you've got to get good sleep. You've got to get your nervous system calm. You've got to enhance your digestion. If you cannot break down food, you're going to continue to have a problem. Restrictive eating will not solve it. You've got to enhance pancreatic enzymes, stomach acid, and liver function.
How do you do that?
Okay. Well, let me finish and then we'll go into digestion.
I know. So many questions.
You got to balance your microbiome. Now, a lot of people, science talks about this all day long. What actually works the microbiome balance? We got to reduce proteobacteria. Those are the bad guys that cause lipopolysaccharides, big word for toxins in your gut. Reduce lipopolysaccharides, reduce bacteria overgrowth, reduce colonic dysbiosis, get the bifidobacterium up, get the lactobacillus up. If you're getting histamine reactions and you have SIBO, these are going to be consistent problems that you have to strategically and very smartly move. And next, you've got to get rid of the leaky gut. Check your zonulin, check it in the wheat zoomer, check it in a gut zoomer, stool and blood. You've got to make sure that your gut lining is sealed. Things that help, slippery elm, marshmallow root, glutamine, zinc carnosine, BPC 157. I mean, there's 100 things that can help. If you don't fix the microbiome and you keep using mucosa healers, it won't work because the inflammation will continue to be there while you're trying to douse a fire that's exploding. It's like a firefighter trying to put out, a fire in a house that's just gotten too big. You've got to eliminate what's causing the inflammation before the gut lining is going to truly heal. And if you've got one of these pathogens active underneath, you could sit here and eat the perfect food, do drainage, take, peptides and all this stuff for the gut lining, and it won't get better. Pathogens I'm seeing that are reacting, the big one right now is going to be viral. Anytime in the winter, guys, I see a huge surge of reactivation of chronic illness and autoimmune in the winter. Epstein-Barr virus, cytomegalovirus, herpes simplex, echovirus, Coxsackie virus. These reactivate, they cause IgA, local mucosal reactions. The colon goes nuts no matter what. I just got off the phone with a famous director 5 minutes before this call saying, Dane, my colon's inflamed. I hadn't had symptoms in 7 years. And I said, flu? He goes, I got the flu. I got COVID. My daughter's sick. And I just had cold sores. And I'm going, let's build you an antiviral protocol. Let's boost your immune system. Check with me in 10 days. And we've already got him in remission like 3 times over the years. And so you have to understand that some of us are reacting intensely to mold, viruses, potentially parasites, candida overgrowth, bacteria overgrowth. We're very reactive to certain colonic dysbiosis. So there's layers to this, right? So those are the things, the microbiome, the gut lining, the nervous system, digestion. Those are the biomechanics of how your body works. Think of like fixing your car. It's not woo-woo. It's not up for discussion. If you want to be healthy and you want to live to 100, you have to enhance these bodily processes, right? And when you do so, the immune system also will continue to get better and better. Digestion is very difficult. Number one, if you are chronically stressed, you are going to have low pancreatic function. You're going to have low stomach acid. You want to know when you're digesting very well naturally is when you're salivating.
I was gonna guess when you're happy because I've had actually instances in the past where I've eaten a food that I wasn't really. I would never eat this normally, but whatever. This is when I was dating my husband. I didn't want to This was a long time ago, but I didn't want to cause an issue. And we went to get something and I was like, oh, I don't want to eat this. But we were newly dating. And so I was like, I'll just eat it, right? But I was so happy. It did not bother me at all. Where in other circumstances, I probably would have been a little bit more fearful, not as happy, and it probably would have upset my gut. So, but that does make sense too, salivating.
You're right. And so that's a lot of us will say, I feel a lot better when I'm on vacation. I feel like I can eat what I want. Is it because it's this type of bread? Well, that could be an idea, but a lot of it is the nervous system, right? The autonomic nervous system needs to be engaged in the parasympathetic. Then you're not stuck on EMF computer all day. You're not sitting down all day. When you're walking, your lymphatic system's moving. You're naturally having more fun. You're naturally more present, which is going to enhance your natural digestion. Your liver's functioning better. You're sleeping better. Yeah, the body's working better. So things I've always done. And when you said, Dane, what's the first thing you did? The first thing I did is started to get happy, honestly. And I swear that's the answer, guys. I know it's not a fun one, but you want to add all the supplements, the herbs, the nutrition on top of this foundation of happiness. When I prayed, I was praying because I was in such pain and I was really fighting for my life and I lived it. This is not a story where I was guaranteed I was going to get better and be on Bethany's podcast 20 years later and we were going to tell people about it. I was that sick. Like I just didn't know what else to do except leave it up to some sort of higher power. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to be sick. Please take this from me. Please give me the faith. Please protect me. Please show me how to become the best son and brother and friend that I can be and restore every ligament, tissue, cell, organ in my body. I just didn't know what else to do. You've got to release. And then there's some certain things that innately come to you. You'll know you're winning because innate human experience will come to you. There is happiness in the air. Like, just go for a walk. I know it sounds so dumb, but listen, I told you that the answer is probably things you already know, but you're not doing them correctly. One of them is walking. I know it sounds stupid, but when I was chronically sick, I could go for a walk and start getting present, especially after I read Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. You got to get happy. Like, certain thoughts help me. Would I rather me have this or my mom? No, give it to me. Would I rather, my friend deal with this or me? Like, would I rather not have my tongue? What about my eyes? What if I lost one of my legs in a tragic car accident? What would you rather? And I just started realizing that I'm still here. I still have my breath. I have my eyes. I have my tongue. I have my family. And I have this world. And when things start getting stripped from you, there is this beauty in it. We all have so much. We're protecting our reputation, our businesses, our appearance, our money, our everything. And then when you start losing, there's this innate human experience that can come in. That's, I'm here, I'm alive, I'm grateful for that. I have this breath, I have this sky, I have this vision, I have pen and paper, I have my thoughts. And I have everyone that I love. And then you start, and that's where I just started letting go of being miserable. But the years prior, the biggest thing I can point to is I was doing restrictive eating and all this, is I was miserable and I was angry and I was resentful that my life was being lost. And, if you'll know it. When you're in it, you'll know it. And some people listening right now going, I know exactly what he's talking about. It's almost like a parable. You'll know it when you're there.
Yeah. Well, it's like that saying, you are what you consume, but it's not just talking about food. It's like what you consume on TV, on social media, your surroundings. And you had mentioned something a few minutes ago, and you said, simplify your life. And I would I just want to encourage people, you can also simplify your social media. Start unfollowing people. Like, why are you even, nowadays things are fed to you and you don't even follow that person. You're like, it just popped up on my feed, but you do what you can, right? And simplify those things. And if it's not serving you, why are you even in it? Right?
You're exactly right about that. I think also we get lost in this, that this is just the foundation, because now you have the space and the focus to say, what will I listen to? What will I watch? And that's the next question in the equation. So you stop following things around idolization and start following relatability and things of servitude. That's what I do. I might say, am I following this because it can serve me or I want to serve them? And can this also be something I can resonate with on a deep level of what I want in my life? Or is this just a form of idolization? Like, are you just following an actress or an actor? Or are you following something like some boastful thing, or some crazy stuff that's getting you in a sympathetic state? Like politics, I think, is dangerous for people who are sick right now. It's a lot of anger and resentment in the families. And I don't know if it's healthy for us, even no matter our beliefs. Like, I want love right now. I'm really tired of the being pulled left and right. But I think with that foundation, the next question, plausible question is, well, now what do I do with that time, energy, and focus? So you should be reading 20 minutes a day of a book that's constructive, that can help you move forward, either podcast and or book. Start with 20. I worked up to 4 hours a day when I was housebound. When you read that much on the possibility of healing, you can't help but start to get on fire for healing. I did not like reading, but the more I did it, the more I desired it, because that's where hope lived. Write this question down and answer it. Where does hope live? Everyone right now, write it down. Where does hope live for you? Who?
What books do you recommend?
Jordan. So with IBD, I really liked Jordan Rubin's book, Patient Heal Thyself, and I liked The Maker's Diet. Those were the only person I had known who had actually taken back their life of IBD that I could try to hang my hat on and underline what he was saying and try what he was doing. Spiritually, I really like Dr. Joe Dispenza. I really like Tony Robbins. And I think that it's the conditioning more than the no. I think there's an epiphany that you can have that it's just, if you read a book on manifestation, it's not that you haven't heard about these ideas before, affirmations and writing things down, putting them in your pocket, right? It's the practice and the conditioning of things over and over again that help bring them to you, like the law of attraction. So I don't want you just to try to know, I want you to try to condition. So that's going to change your life. Where does hope live? And then, so I might read a book on spiritualism, and I might then start reading or watching something on antipathogens or probiotics or digestion. Like, just write down an idea. This is where your journal's really going to matter, because if you write down 3 ideas, like Dane said, I need to fix my microbiome. So just start writing 20 minutes a day. I want to watch something on fixing the microbiome.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this goes to my next question is, you had mentioned enhanced digestion. Mm-hmm. So give us some tips on how do we enhance digestion? Because we want to start eating, right? Yeah. And we're in that space of, but I can't eat because it's going to cause issues. So I need to fix my digestion first or enhance it. So how do you do that?
So some things I've found that really help me with extremely poor digestion, I've seen work for a lot of people. Everyone's on a different spectrum, and we realize the answer is never the same. So I'm saying generic things that may help some people listening, or some other people go, I can't do that. I'm aware of that. So number one, I would say, is hot water with some sort of digestive support is going to be great. So stop drinking cold water, stop drinking anything with ice, and start drinking hot water with things like maybe a dash of apple cider vinegar. I've seen work for a lot of people. It also cleans the liver. The more you clean the liver, the better your digestion will tend to get. Stagnant liver is a problem with digestion. So peppermint, ginger, chamomile, make sure it's clean teas. Don't get a plastic tea stuff that's going to have all those microplastics. I would also probably recommend using distilled water or a reverse osmosis with some trace minerals added back in. And so I like a little lemon. Now, if you're really inflamed, you have gastritis, you're probably not going to do well with acidic things. So you want to be careful. But if not, a little lemon, a little apple cider vinegar, a little peppermint, and just sip on it. Now, what I like to do is I would sip on that outside with my feet in the ground and getting that morning sun. So every morning what I did is I compounded effects. Stop thinking it's one thing and take something and compound it with others. So I would put my robe on, get my tea, get my book with a highlighter, because I always highlighted books to help me really retain at a cellular level what I was listening to or reading. And then I would sit outside in a chair near my garden with my feet in the actual ground with the sun coming up, usually this is like when I really could wake up and I was sleeping right. So whenever's right for you, and I'd get that 20 minutes of sun to get that vitamin D. I'd get my feet in the ground to help with the lymphatic system, moving the blood. I'd be underlying getting that oxytocin, that excitement going, because I'm underlying new possibilities. Every day I start with possibilities, not problems, right? Which P are you focused on, possibilities or problems? And I'll give you another one that's going to help you mentally. If you're going to enroll somebody in a problem, you have to enroll them in 2 to 3 solutions, possible solutions for every problem you tell someone you love. And that will start conditioning your spirit to be the answer and not just wait for something outside of you to be the answer. Start practicing possible solutions. So teas are going to help. Number 2, do not eat unless you're salivating. So if you even take 15 to 20 minutes tea and then do a breath work for 10 to 15 minutes before you eat, then actually sit when you eat and chew your food. We've heard this. But if you actually do it and you actually try it, you will notice your digestion gets better. Now, your life is going to have to slow down to do this. You can't be running between meeting to meeting. Something, Bethany, maybe you and I can resonate with, that in life, there's always going to be struggles. When you run companies and you have a million things going on, I don't practice a lot of the stuff I practice then because my life's too busy. Because I'm on a plane and I'm running and I don't have time for dinner or lunch and there's fires with the company. And that's a little out of integrity, to be honest. And so that's where you also got to build trust and integrity, that no matter where you go in life, there will be problems. There will be things that aren't as perfect. It's harder to go slow when you've built things in life.
Dane, I can just say this, that my digestion started to get worse as my company started to get better.
Thank you for being honest, Bethany. And honestly, I've seen something similar with me.
It did, because I wasn't, slowing down anymore. Yeah.
And you're thinking about it at night and you're on the computer and all of a sudden it's dinner time and you're eating on the run and you got people calling you, needing things from you, asking if you can be somewhere, if you can fly somewhere, you can. And so, there's a certain gratitude that, I heard one time a man say that sometimes failure is exactly what you need for success because it makes you stand still. That if your company, I've done a lot of EFT tapping and mental work on this because, but sometimes I actually might need failure. Like you might need to lose so you can actually stand still and stop. And I don't want to put that out into the world because we always want to have success and grow things, but just realize there's value in what we're saying in standing still and having time. And that's something your spirit has to practice. Realize this also, that if you're going to enhance your digestion, it's going to be uncomfortable. If you're going to change, it's going to be uncomfortable. If it's a very comfortable process, you're not doing it right 99% of the time. Because when you do things comfortable, it's very easy. Your logical mind would have already thought about doing it if it was comfortable to do, if the answer was comfortable. So most likely, it's something uncomfortable. The workaholics, we, not you, we need to slow down. We actually have to take lunches and actually go out in this California sun that we live in and actually use it.
It's crazy. It's crazy how I think about it all the time. I'm like, I live in California. It's nice. Why am I not outside and I'm working on my computer right now? It's insane. I love that we can have an honest conversation trying to help people out there to talk about where things we need to work because it builds trust and integrity. You need a community that's willing to show you face value where we all need to get better. Because I want you to make me better. I want to make you better. Well, I want to come together and really do something that works. So meditation, breath work. Now, when I would do breath work, I would sit in a little area, have a little non-scented candle, or I'd use my Sensate, a little machine that vibrates over your heart to kind of help you get in that parasympathetic. And then I would literally just, as I'm exhaling, imagine and do this breathe in white light. And then just imagine yourself just calming and something delicious, tasty, just so good. And don't be scared to let the world hear you. I'm not scared anymore. Don't be scared. I see so many people scared to let themselves be heard. Yeah. Don't be scared. The world's here. You're alive right now. It's beautiful now. Man, that air is so good. Look at that beautiful sky. And let yourself just salivate. Just let yourself, that delicious food. It's going to be, my body's going to accept it. I'm going to just enjoy every bite. I'm not going to swallow it whole. I'm going to have a great conversation while I eat. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to see someone I love. I'm going to call somebody I love. That goes much farther than you know. Another's going to be castor oil pack. I love castor oil packs because you can do them while you work and you can do them around, but castor oil helps move the liver. The liver is what creates bile. Bile is what you need to break down all fats, okay? And if you're not eating a lot of carbs and you're trying to eat a lot of these generically healthy, famous types of diets out there, you need to be able to break down a larger amount of fat. So every kind of meat-based eating style out there that's low in carbohydrates is high in fat. So if you're not eating grains, you need a strong amount of fat. If you're not producing bile from the liver, you're not going to break down those fats. So, would you say that a high-fat diet is helpful or harmful?
It's a chess match. It's like moving the bishop question again. I had a person who was in ketosis eating 5 foods, and they were so sick. And the first thing I did is get them off all those fats and put them on raw fats only, half a teaspoon, 3 to 4 times a day, with certain fruits and low fat for about 2 or 3 weeks, and slowly scale up their fat. And they got rid of 80% of the symptoms in 14 days. And this
wow.
is
So he went higher carb.
Caitlin, she went high carb. Yeah. So I'll move back and forth on the spectrum. So I play like a chess match. I look at, so my questions are how you handling protein, how you handling fats, can you handle grains? I usually don't have to use a lot of dense grains. Usually white rice is all I need. People can talk about the pros and cons, but about getting real results, I get results with white rice. I make sure it's clean, low arsenic. I'll probably use a courage congee. I add in certain fibers if I need, but it's usually not as much of a problem because it's so delicate on the gut. So it's just like, practitioners out there like to argue about scientifically what's the best, but at the end of the day, I just look at results. Like we're coaches. We get results. Like what actually gets people symptom free and get their energy back and gain 20 pounds. It's not about we look at the science, but we also look at what's actually happening in people's lives. So, fats, raw fats are going to be the easiest. Things like MCT oil, extra virgin olive oil, Udo's oil. Depending on where you are and what you need. Some people are going, oh, I don't like all the omega-6 profile in Udo's oil. True, but a lot of people do really well with it. And they don't like cod liver oil. They can't take it. They hate the palate. Their body doesn't respond well to it. Or they have problems with coconut and MCT.
What about avocado and butter?
Yeah, I actually see a lot of people do really well with butter. I'm more of a fan of ghee for people with IBD. They tend to do really good with it. Clarified butter, it's 99% free in casein and lactose. But if you do those things, for digestion, and then after you eat, go for a light walk, movement, standing straight up and down. Don't sit down on a bed so that the food can really get into that stomach acid, and move your body lightly. Don't go for a run. Don't go lift weights. Go for a walk and go with someone and give hugs and smile. Like if you have an hour lunch, it should be 20 minutes to eat and 20 to 30 minutes to walk and hang out and relax.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would really help. Mm-hmm.
If anyone is listening and they have kids, maybe they're like, well, I have kids. I have people, I can't just leave them after dinner and go on a walk. Then do something around the house. Do laundry, make the bed, wash the sheets, do something still active in the house if you can't leave.
Well, what we do is we put the kids in a stroller. Put the kids in that you and your husband or wife talk best when the kids are in the stroller. You can't talk to them in the living room. They're going nuts. They're bouncing off walls. So another thing that's going to help with digestion is single ingredient probiotics. Now, when I'm dealing with someone who's chronically sick, I always start with Bifidobacterium or Bifido-infantis. I just started working with a woman who's had PCOS and severe IBD for 25 years. She hasn't really been able to get out of her bed much since 2006. And we started working together on a weekly basis and just went after it. And we got her about 90% symptom-free in about 3-4 months. And the single biggest thing, it was life-changing. And her case was so extreme, Bethany, that I was looking at it like, this is, I think, above she said, Dane, it's above everyone's pay grade. I've seen 20 doctors, 20, 30 doctors spent probably $500,000, easy. I mean, this is a very successful person. The biggest thing that we did to help her is we started with single ingredient probiotics. I started her on the B-infantis, Bifidobacterium infantis. Probiotics that actually work, and most of them don't, can be absolutely life-changing. It's where I get some of the biggest results. Now, I didn't make the product. I use Natron, and I'm telling you, not the capsules, the powders. They work. My gosh, they work. I will run this play. I've probably run this play over 1,000 times. We've seen thousands of people. I've personally worked with probably more than 2,000 people for months and months at a time. This is all we do, is when you have a single ingredient probiotic with the growth median attached. The growth median is how a probiotic is able to grow. So when you look at a capsule, it's more like the apples without the apple tree. And so what I use the powders, the growth median that allows it to cultivate in the gut is still in the powder. So I'll use a Bifido-infantis and a Bifidobacterium bifidum that resides specifically in the colon. And I'll start with that because they're very low in histamine. So people take these probiotics and their small intestine can't handle them. The small intestine is not supposed to have a lot of bacteria, but when you have colonic dysbiosis, it degrades the small intestine into SIBO, which is an extreme issue that most of us can't get rid of because we can't rebuild and reclaim the small intestine from those bacteria. And so even when we take wild oregano, we herx because our drainage pathway stinks, and then our cells are bad and we have epigenetic issues, so we can't eat. It's like we're in a vicious cycle of SIBO for it feels like 20 years, and it's really hard to deal with. If you've been really sick, it's hard to deal with. You have to be very strategic. But one of the things I do is I use, which is also going to help with digestion, because a lot of the digestive problem is that you don't have the pancreatic enzymes because the liver's off in the small intestine. So stomach acid's one, then you got to get liver working and you got to get pancreatic enzymes working. And then you've got to get the bile moving so the bile can help break down those fats and all those vitamins and minerals in the pancreatic enzyme so it can be absorbed in the small intestine. So we're getting a lack of absorption in the small intestine of these foods, and that's also one of the big problems of digestion. So you need beneficial bacteria to be able to reclaim that, and then you have to be very smart and aggressive about how you reclaim the small intestine. I think a lot of us are just dealing with chronic SIBO. And we've tried berberine, we've tried oregano, we've tried black walnut, we've tried parasites, we've tried L-reuteri. The problem is you've got to stay on it, and you've got to do it in a way where you're not herxing. And if you are herxing, you've got to come at it from a different angle. So for an example is I know there's probably at least 100 women listening right now, or men listening right now, who go, every time I take any kind of probiotic or yogurt, I get a histamine reaction, and I get headache and skin reactions and eczema and itching. And I just got chronic bloating and gas, and I can't get rid of it. So what I do is I start with the bifidobacterium, work those up while I start moving the liver better. Because if I can get the liver to move, a lot of the toxins will move better, the bile will move better, and the bile is what's carrying a lot of the toxins in it. So as it clears out, the body will tend to calm down. So Epsom salt bath, castor oil packs, a little bit of NaC, maybe a bile salt like Tudka. I'm going to play these like a chess match. So this is my pawn, my bishop, my castle. So I'm looking at all these things, and I'm starting to work on the liver. I'm working on that digestion we talked about. I'm starting to add the bifido to go to the colon to calm down the colon. Then I'm doing micro doses of lactobacillus, either acidophilus or bulgaricus, depending on how the person responds. And this is what we did with the woman with PCOS. She had terrible histamine reactions. So what I did is I just did micro doses of single ingredient. We took us about 3 months to get up on all products, but she got rid of 90% of her symptoms as we increased these. And then I put her on diamine oxidase, which helps reduce histamine 3 times a day, to also reduce that. So as we started to increase things that could drive histamine, we used antihistamines like DAO to help calm that down. And we're very specific with any kind of foods to keep that histamine level lower. And then started doing a little bit of phosphatidylcholine to help rejuvenate the mast cells so it doesn't release the histamine as much.
Interesting. Can I interrupt just for a second?
Yeah.
Speaking of
we're getting into the woods here, just so everyone knows.
No, I love it.
Okay.
Just speaking of histamines, for those that don't know, and I love your take on this though, Dane, any kind of meat, even bone broth, is very high in histamine because it's aged, and even leftovers, you can eat it fresh, cooked that day, but like the next day, it's higher in histamine. Would you agree, disagree? Can you elaborate on that?
No, I completely agree. And that's why it's a chess match. That's why with her, we never do bone broth. So once I know that histamine's the problem, I'm not worried about, that's the whole idea. Like I had all these nutritious things and I need all the glucosamine and the glutamine and all the collagen from the bone broth. No, you don't. One of the fastest ways to heal the body is to fast. The number one thing you want to do is get out of the body's way, not necessarily just add all this nutrition. That's the biggest mistake we make with inflammatory bowel disease or a lot of chronic disease. You got to get out of the body's way before you worry about adding all this nutrition. And that's what's deceiving, because all we read about online is like, oh, NAD is so good. Get an NAD IV and get glutathione and go get all these herbs and then all to heal the gut. It's like, your body's not ready for that. So start with basics. Like it's okay to only have 2 or 3 moving variables and just give it a week. And if you do that and you give your body space and you go on the walk and you do the stress management, you get the sun, you do the grounding, you might find that you took 80% less supplements and spent 80% less on biohacking therapies, and you feel way better. When I deal with extreme cases, I've seen extreme, where they've been everywhere for 20 years. The first thing I do is I get down my moving variables down to 2 or 3, and I do way less. As long as they're enrolled in it and they're okay taking their time, I say, I only want to do 2 things this week, and I want you to focus all that energy on not doing these 10 things. When you're chronically sick, you focus more on what you're not doing than what you are doing. So start there, because if I start to get a result with you, now we're building trust. Now it's like, oh my God, someone's actually not throwing me into a herx. Someone's not throwing me into a massive histamine reaction. I'm not getting more blood. I had a woman I was working with, 72 years old. She came to me because her last practitioner put her on a PEMF mat. You ever heard of someone getting a 2-week-long Herxheimer reaction on 20 minutes of PEMF? I'm like, holy cow, that's not normal. I wasn't even mad at the practitioner. Other practitioners put their clients on 15 drops of biocidin. on week 2. And I'm like, that's the stupidest thing, right? Because you have to know the chronic experience is that I think a lot of times we're just not being heard. So listeners right now are going, am I being neurotic or is this real? No, you're not being neurotic. It's real, and we have to really calm down. Getting results is like you're Indiana Jones in a lost temple. There are 3 steps you can make, and any other step, you're getting a dart in the neck. So if you're going to get that healing response over there past the mummies, if you step on any of these blocks, you're going to get a dart in the neck. You're going to get more reactions. You're going to feel worse the next week, and it's going to take us 2 weeks to get you back to where you were. So every step has to be meticulous. What are we doing and why? Single ingredient products, powders, drops, microdose. I don't want multiple ingredients. Even capsules I'm a little worried about. I want dropper, I want powder, I want microdose, and I want to test it. I'm going to take 2 to 3 weeks to test moves. But everything I'm going to move is something that I think is low risk, high reward. Probiotics is one of those. Low risk, high reward, single ingredient, beneficial bacteria. And I might not even put you on butyrate to begin with. I might not put you on all these different fibers. I'm going to start with really light foods. So, just when you're looking at that plan, I said, write out your plan. Just make it simpler. Do less right now. Our fear, doubt, and worry makes us want to add 20 things where a lot of you are writing down what you're going to do. And it's like, the page is like this. The body is divine. Get out of its way. Breathe, walk, sun, sleep, and be meticulous about what you put in. As you get a result that you're like, I'm okay. No major reactions, no major thing threw me off. Now you slowly scale that. And where I want to scale is I want to scale where I already got proof of concept. Because I'll get with people and they'll say, okay, what's next, Dane? I go, should I add in this? Should I add in N-acetylcysteine? Should I add in milk thistle? Should I add in dandelion root? Should I add in more adrenal support? And I go, we don't have any experience on that yet. What are you currently doing right now that if we just do more of it, there's low risk of a new thing and you might even get another 20% results?
I love that approach.
I'm looking to scale what we're already doing. Can we do something you're already doing just to get 20% more results? If you got a jab and it's working, keep up the jab.
Yeah. Don't fix it if it's not broken.
Don't fix it. I think a lot of us are scared. Like, I need to add this in and add this in. Well, yes, your liver probably does need support, but right now with where you are and you've got work coming up, you've got kids coming up, you've got this travel coming up. Let's just see if we can increase our probiotics. Let's see if we can continue to get that sleep where it is. Let's see if we can maybe just go from 30 minutes to an hour and a half of castor oil pack. Let's see if we can get the Epsom salt bath from 2 days a week to 5 days a week. Do that for 10 days and come back to me.
I love the thought, and I believe that the body was designed to heal itself.
Yep.
And if the body was designed to heal itself, here's a question. How come so many people are sick, right?
Because everyone's sick because we've never had such a burden of toxins in our air, food, and water. And because we are also being born in a generation where we didn't get the great microbiome from our parents like our parents got. And we're also dealing with more microplastics and antibiotics and antifungals than ever before. Our soil is completely sick. And it's a different world, and it's a different human species and a different human microbiome, really, is what's going on. And we're fighting for our lives to take back our health, but, and it sucks. But at the same time, it's going to be what's going to make you empowered for a lifetime. And I think those of us who get this are going to be able to live to 100. I think we're going to be able to thrive beyond just the survival moment, especially us who are young, because you're going to build skill sets and disciplines that will really serve you for a lifetime. But I know it's hard and it's a lot to deal with. But if you learn this and you really make this a priority, you'll get better and better and better at it. And then you'll be able to serve everyone you love. So it will be a gift. But the more I look about it, the more I realize it's just better to live around local organic food. It's better to live where there's not a lot of EMF. It's better to get farther away from the cities. The more I realize this, it's better to slow down to speed up. It's like you could live fast and die young, or be sick chronically. And it's a difficult thing for all of us. I know me and Bethany have talked today about how it's even, we've been honest about it's even difficult when I've got a team of 30 people. I know you got a big company too that's been growing. I remember meeting you when both of us were doing nothing and just sick. I was like, hey, you've been chronically sick. Me too. What's up? Let's meet.
I know. But I think the huge takeaway, and at least for me too, is simplify your life and don't overcomplicate things, because if you allow the body to do what it's supposed to do and not throw everything at it, I think it will be able to heal itself. It's just giving it the tools and the room to do that. And the simplicity of it, I think, again, it's like when people add, or like, let's just say like McDonald's, they started to promote, oh, we have a hamburger now. We're adding probiotics to our hamburger. Does that make it any better? No, you gotta remove all the junk from the hamburger. That's probably a really bad example, but it's like people think that way. Oh, just add more and it makes you better, makes you healthier.
Well, and this is where everyone's trying to trick you. We're using words that make you feel like it's okay to go back to something that you should divorce. It's like if your ex wrote you and said, hey, I've changed. We can now just be friends, or I'm going to take better care of you. And you go back and say, well, it's going to be different this time. It's not different this time. The food is toxic. It's always been toxic. And we need to divorce this Western world of living. But we need to get happy. We need to get connected. We need a way to celebrate on a Friday night. And we need to find balance. And everyone listening is going to come to that conclusion of what is right for them and what is balanced uniquely. And that's okay. Make space for you to decide what that is. And I'll let you know what mine is. But I understand it's time, because you don't know how to connect with your community, and you don't know where to get love, and you don't know how you fit in. And it's because we've all just been lied to. And that's why I use that word divorce, because it is a heavy thing to go through and understand. And when you simplify, just remember that if there's a big takeaway today, it's that just because you tried something doesn't mean you did it the way it can be strongest. Did you really give it a chance, and were you really consistent with it? And could you add certain things together to get a bigger, more compounding healing response by just taking that one thing and trying it again with maybe two other things added together, like the earthing or the fasting, or if you do bone broth or not, with the single ingredient probiotic and castor oil pack, and start putting all those things together in a way that fits your life. And the last thing I would say is don't do this alone. Get connected, get a part of a community, and start talking with others who want to build a similar life. Because it's only weird and unique and odd if you don't have a community that's doing it as well. Because once you have the community, it's actually the new norm.
Well, and Dane, I know you have a community there. And if people are interested in learning more about you and what you can do to help them, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find us on Crohn'sColitisLifestyle.com. You can find us on Instagram or YouTube, Crohn's Colitis Lifestyle, or me, Dane Johnson. I'm on Instagram and YouTube predominantly. And we have thousands of people who talk every single day who all been diagnosed IBD. So we specialize in IBD, and we do work with IBS if we feel that it's an integrity and we can truly help. And we offer a free 1-hour IBD session to talk about your case. No gimmicks, no tricks, no cost, just to hold space and see if we can truly come together to help you build a customized plan. Everyone in our community gets a private coach. Everyone gets a customized plan. We don't do cookie cutter. No two plans are the same. We don't do generic supplements. We don't do generic diets. Everything is built for you for maximum results. We just built what we needed. 80% of our team has IBD ourselves. We have ND on staff, DC on staff, RN on staff, where we work all around the world globally. And we're just set to build something that gets real results, and something that we all needed to get our results to, and create a true healing home where members can really talk to each other and feel supported in what they need.
Amazing. Well, I'll be sure to put all of those links in today's show notes. So for those listening, you can just go to today's show notes and then find Dane and his company with one easy tap. Thank you so much, Dane, for just coming on and sharing more about you and what you offer and what you really bring to the table, and just an honest conversation with me, because it's so good to just reconnect with old friends.
Yes. Thank you, Bethany. God bless, guys.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Digest This. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review in your podcast app to let us know. If you're ever wondering how you can support me and this podcast, sharing it with your friends and family is the best way. This is a Wellness Loud production produced by Drake Peterson, and to check out more shows by my team, go to wellnessloud.com, and to email the show, message us at digestthispod@gmail.com. See you next time. The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical and mental health advice, and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or health team first.